Hey guys. Tonight we start in the middle of the noise. The city is glowing headlights streak past your window, sirens sigh in the distance, someone's television hums through the wall. But you're not asleep. Not really. You're lying there, eyes closed maybe, but your brain's whirring like a hard drive that can't shut off. And what you don't realize is that with every passing hour you stay awake, something quiet and irreversible is happening inside you. Your brain is aging. Silently, subtly, and far faster than it should. See, sleep isn't just rest, it's restoration. And without it, your neurons act like abandoned buildings. Power flickers, systems degrade, memory begins to rot in the corners. You might feel young. You might look young, but your brain doesn't lie. Chronic sleep loss can accelerate cognitive aging by up to 10 years. That's right, 10 years gone, just because your eyes wouldn't stay shut. You probably didn't know that. Most people don't. We think, oh, I'll catch up on sleep this weekend, or 4 hours and coffee is fine, but the brain remembers. It tracks every missed cycle like a debt collector, and it always comes to collect. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, while we're easing into things, comment where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Are you in bed already? Or still scrolling through your phone like a night owl in denial? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You don't notice the first signs. That's how it starts. A name on the tip of your tongue, a thought that slips through your fingers. You laugh it off. Just tired. But inside, your hippocampus, part of your brain that stores memories, literally shrinking. Imaging studies have shown that people with chronic insomnia exhibit volume loss in this region, similar to early signs of Alzheimer's. But wait, it gets stranger. You might think, okay, I'll just nap more. But fragmented, inconsistent sleep doesn't help. In fact, your brain counts that as stress. And stress? Oh, that's a whole different enemy. Every time your sleep is broken by noise, worry, or doom-scrolling, it signals your body that you're in danger. And when that alert system activates night after night, the result is a slow, invisible burnout of your cognitive reserves. Here's the twist. Some researchers argue it's not just about hours of sleep, it's about quality. They debate whether deep sleep stages matter more than total duration. One camp claims that as long as you hit your REM quotas, you're safe. Another insists that only full, undisturbed cycles protect brain longevity. The truth? Still unfolding. But here's one natural method you can trust. Regulate your bedtime. I know sobering advice, like flossing, but your brain craves rhythm. When you sleep and wake at consistent times, your internal clock, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, yes, it's a mouthful, strengthens its signals. That means deeper, longer sleep, and a brain that starts aging less. Now, for a peculiar fact, in some Scandinavian studies, elderly participants with insomnia showed higher levels of beta, amyloid the protein, linked to Alzheimer's 7, if they showed no outward symptoms. It's as if their brains were staging a silent protest, waving red flags no one could see. So here you are, in a world that keeps glowing and buzzing and demanding your attention long after dark, and you're just trying to get a little rest. But sleep isn't passive. It's not just the absence of activity, it's an active detox, a memory reset, a rebuilding. And when you don't give your brain that chance, you age, not gracefully, but quietly, deep inside. There's a chilling thought, isn't it? That the younger you could be still exists buried under the fog of fatigue. And with every skipped night, every hour lost to worry or screens or deadlines, that version of you drifts further away. The good news? You're not beyond repair. Not yet. You don't feel it happening at first. After all, grey matter doesn't ache. There's no alarm when your brain begins to dim. But inside that quiet skull of yours, things are changing. Not catastrophically no explosions, no panic, just slow erosion. A soft, almost polite decline. The cells in your brain neuron suns danced with electricity. Synapses fired like tiny strobe lights, but chronic sleep deprivation dims that brilliance. It's as if the lights are flickering in a great cathedral of thought, and the longer you go without real rest, the darker it becomes. Let's get specific. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and impulse control, begins to sputter when deprived of sleep. That's why you snap at loved ones, make sloppy choices, or forget what you were saying mid-sentence. You're not moody, you're literally operating with compromised hardware. And get this, studies show that just 1 week of poor sleep can reduce activity in the prefrontal cortex by up to 25%, a quarter of your executive function gone. Like a boss taking an unannounced vacation and leaving the interns in charge. The strange part? You still feel awake. The human brain is excellent at pretending. It throws on a mask, revs up your adrenaline, and convinces you you're fine. That's why sleep-deprived people can still drive, talk, even laugh right until the crash. Here's something few people know. Sleep deprivation mimics brain injury. MRI scans show reduced connectivity between key regions, almost like temporary brain trauma. The foggy thoughts, the clumsy speech, the emotional swings, they're not imagined. They're neurological. And the aging? That's the scary part. Sleep-deprived adults show structural changes in the brain that resemble those of people a decade older. That means your 35-year-old brain might be acting like it's 45 or worse. And no, your skincare routine won't save it. Let's talk healing. Because it's not all doom, one of the most effective natural remedies is mindfulness meditation. I know it sounds too gentle to be true, but regular practice, even 10 minutes a day, reduces cortisol, slows brain atrophy, and increases gray matter in the hippocampus. In short, it helps restore what lack of sleep erodes. Some researchers argue whether meditation can actually replace lost sleep. One camp says, "No, it's merely a supplement." Another suggests that, under certain conditions, deep meditative states can mimic aspects of restorative rest. For now, the consensus is this: meditation helps you sleep better and protects your brain when you don't. You might not know this odd detail. In a recent study, experienced meditators in their 60s had brains that appeared structurally younger than those of non-meditators in their 40s. No joke. The scans don't lie. It's like mental skincare with long-term benefits. And then there's something even stranger. Have you ever had a moment mid-yawn? Maybe where your body felt heavy and your thoughts blurred into dream fragments while still awake. That's a microsleep. Your brain is stealing back time seconds at a time because it's desperate. It doesn't care if you're at work or driving or in a meeting. It needs rest, and it will take it. Microsleeps are dangerous. They're your body's last-ditch attempt to reboot, but they also reveal a secret. Your brain knows how to prioritize survival. When deprived long enough, it shuts down parts of itself to keep others running, like turning off the lights in unused rooms. And here's where the real risk lies. Chronic sleep deprivation isn't just a temporary inconvenience, it's predictive. Long-term studies now link insufficient sleep to faster onset of cognitive decline. Think memory loss, reduced processing speed, early dementia. It's like time-lapse footage of a brain wearing away. But tonight, you have a choice. You don't need to fix everything at once. Just start with the lights. Dim them. Let your room cool slightly. Lower the noise. Give your senses fewer things to chase. You're not just preparing for sleep, you're telling your brain it's safe to rest. Because rest is the key. Not just lying down, but truly surrendering to it. Letting the brain switch from hustle to healing, from data collection to data cleaning, from aging to renewal. You might be surprised by how fast things improve. Some people report clearer thinking after just 3 nights of solid sleep. Your memory starts holding on to details. Emotions stabilize. Even your skin looks better, but that's just a bonus. So, the next time someone says, "You can sleep when you're dead," remember, that's the fastest way to get there. Your eyes flutter closed, but your brain doesn't follow. It's pacing behind the scenes, waiting, hoping for something deeper, because what it craves isn't just any sleep, it wants REM. This is where the magic happens. REM sleep is the stage where your brain becomes a vivid, electric theater. Dreams dance, emotions get sorted, memories are filed like precious letters into invisible drawers. It's not just rest, it's therapy. But when you don't sleep enough, or your sleep is fragmented, you rob your brain of this vital process. And when that robbery happens night after night, your brain retaliates. slowly, quietly, but with precision. You see, without REM, your brain can't properly regulate your emotions or consolidate long-term memories. The result? You start forgetting names, missing appointments, losing words you've always known. It's not just being tired, it's a biological mutiny. Even more unsettling, chronic REM deprivation is now associated with early cognitive disorders. Some sleep scientists have found that a lack of REM mimics patterns seen in early-onset Alzheimer's, as if your brain is trying to simulate a future disease long before it should. Here's something eerie. People with persistent insomnia often report a creeping sense of detachment, like their thoughts aren't theirs, like their memories don't feel real. That's not imagination, it's a breakdown in neural connectivity, a disorientation caused by your brain losing the ability to catalog reality correctly. And that disorientation? It's dangerous. Your amygdala, part of your brain that governs fear and emotion, becomes overactive without sleep. Like a smoke detector that goes off for burnt toast, or worse, for nothing at all. You become anxious, irritable, and easily overwhelmed. You're not losing your mind. You're just missing your REM. Here's an odd, lesser-known fact. Rats that are prevented from entering REM sleep eventually de-even if they're allowed to eat and drink normally. No injuries, no disease, just no dreams. That's how essential REM is to life. It's not luxury, it's biological law. So how do you protect your REM? One natural method: magnesium. Found in leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and certain mineral-rich waters, magnesium helps your muscles relax and your brain signal when it's time to power down. It also plays a role in regulating GABA, a neurotransmitter that promotes deep, restful sleep, especially REM cycles. Some researchers debate magnesium's effectiveness, though. One camp believes it only works in those who are deficient, which is many of us. Another argues that the placebo effect is stronger than any mineral. But anecdotal evidence is stacking up, and the science is catching on. Still, nothing replaces consistency. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every day, limiting caffeine afternoon, and reducing blue light exposure an hour before bed all help increase your chances of entering and sustaining REM. There's a certain irony here. We chase excitement and productivity all day, but the real emotional processing, the healing only, happens when we surrender, when we dream. Now, imagine this. Every night you lose sleep, it's like you're selling off your dreams to a black market. One memory here, one emotion there. You don't realize it, but you're trading away pieces of your identity, your calm, your clarity, your sense of time, all to stay up just a little longer. But if you could peer inside your own brain right now, after weeks or months of poor sleep, you'd see it. Neural connections fraying at the edges, as if your memories were printed on old paper, left in the sun too long. What's worse is that you probably feel normal. That's the trap, because cognitive decline from sleep loss is gradual. A single night of bad rest? Not catastrophic. But compound that over years, and suddenly your mind begins to resemble someone a decade older. Yet, there's hope. That's the secret they don't tell you. Even if your REM has been stolen, it can return. Not instantly, but consistently, night after night. Your brain can rebuild those circuits. Memory improves, emotions balance, life feels more real again. And here's something weirdly beautiful. Studies suggest that the brain has a REM rebound effect. If you miss it for too long, the moment you finally get good sleep, your body fights to spend extra time in REM like it's catching up on a backlog of unprocessed dreams. Imagine that, a dream debt being paid in full, all those missed pieces of you finding their way home again. So tonight, treat REM like the treasure it is. Create a cave of quiet. Make darkness your friend. Let your brain unspool the tangled threads it's gathered all day. Because somewhere in those dreams might be the part of you you've been missing. You think you're 32, or maybe 44. You check your ID, laugh at a birthday joke, count the candles on the cake. But here's the thing, your brain has its own calendar. And if you've been sleeping poorly, that calendar's been fast-forwarding behind your back. There's your chrono age, the number you celebrate each year, and then there's your sleep age, how old your brain actually feels based on how well you've rested. The difference between the two can be shocking. Scientists have begun measuring sleep age using brain scans, cognitive tests, and even gene expression. And here's what they've found. People who consistently get less than 6 hours of sleep per night often show signs of a brain 7 to 10 years older than their chronological age. That's not a metaphor, that's your neurons writing checks your body can't cash. And here's the unsettling part you can't always tell. Some people with elevated sleep age still perform well in their jobs, still go to the gym, still crack jokes at dinner. But underneath the surface, their cognitive reserve, the brain's backup power supply, is quietly running dry. It's like a phone that still lights up, still loads apps, until one day it won't. So what can you do? First, understand what good sleep actually means. It's not just about hours. It's about architecture, full cycle of light, deep, and REM sleep, repeated 4 to 6 times per night. Miss one stage, and the brain's nightly housekeeping falls behind. Let's talk repair. One of the most underappreciated natural tools to reduce sleep age is morning sunlight. Yes, sunlight. Just 10-15 minutes of natural light exposure within an hour of waking helps regulate your internal clock, stabilizes melatonin production, and reinforces a strong day-night rhythm. Your brain loves consistency. Researchers still debate how powerful sunlight really is. Some argue it's only helpful if paired with other habits, like reduced screen time at night. Others believe morning light alone can reset broken sleep cycles in as little as 3 days. Either way, it's free, safe, and worth trying. Now, for a strange detail, your brain's sleep age may also be influenced by your gut. That's right. New studies link the microbiome, those trillions of tiny creatures living in your digestive tract, to your sleep patterns. Certain bacterial imbalances are now associated with insomnia, fragmented sleep, and even nightmares. The theory? These microbes affect serotonin production, which influences melatonin, which controls, yes, your sleep. You didn't see that coming, did you? Your belly might be messing with your dreams. And here's the eerie part. Even short-term sleep deprivation can begin to change gene expression in your brain. Genes linked to inflammation turn on. Genes for growth and repair, they shut down. In just 1 week of poor sleep, your DNA starts behaving like it belongs to someone older, maybe someone much older. You might start to feel your memory not quite as sharp, your focus fluttering. A word escapes you in conversation. You reread the same sentence twice. It's subtle, but it's the first knock on the door. So what do you do? In addition to sunlight, start thinking in rituals. Humans are creatures of rhythm. Try a sleep wind-down routine that stays the same every night. Dim lights, maybe an herbal tea, gentle stretches, soft instrumental music. Avoid checking the time. Avoid blue light. Tell your brain, this is the hour of rest. The repetition teaches your body that sleep is coming, and when it knows that, it starts to prepare. Hormones shift, temperature drops, brainwaves slow. Think of it as tucking your mind into bed. Still, some scientists argue whether these rituals matter much in a world full of digital disruption. They claim genetics play a larger role than habits, that some of us are just wired for bad sleep. But others insist our environment and behaviors can override genetic tendencies over time. Who's right? Probably both camps. But here's the truth, your brain whispers each night. Something is always better than nothing. One good night can change your whole week. One routine can slow the ticking of your sleep age clock. And the best part? That younger version of your brain, the one you lost to late nights and early alarms, it's not gone forever. It's waiting, resting, ready to come back the moment you make room for it. So tonight, stop chasing the day's unfinished tasks. Let them go. Your brain doesn't care about that email or that bill. It cares about the rhythm, the silence, the return. Because every hour of good sleep rewinds the clock. And maybe, just maybe, gives you back a piece of who you were. The night is quiet now, but your brain isn't. It's working, scrubbing, rinsing, filtering. You're not aware of it, but deep within your skull, a slow tide is rising and falling. It's the brain's very own cleaning crew, operating only when you sleep. It's called the glymphatic system, and it functions like a nighttime rinse cycle. Every time you drift into deep sleep, your brain cells shrink slightly, making room for cerebrospinal fluid to flow between them. This fluid washes away waste proteins, toxins, the molecular clutter left behind by your thoughts, emotions, and stress. But here's the catch. This cleansing only happens when you're asleep, deeply asleep. So when you're tossing, turning, or cutting the night short, your brain doesn't get its rinse. The trash piles up, and one of the most toxic pieces of that buildup, beta amyloid protein, directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. In people who don't sleep well, scans often show more of this substance clinging to the brain like plaque on teeth. It's subtle at first, accumulating in tiny layers. But over time, it begins to affect memory, learning, and emotional regulation. Here's the bizarre part. The brain's rinse cycle ramps up specifically during non-REM deep sleep. That means light sleep or dozing doesn't cut it. Your brain needs the slow-wave, heavy-lidded kind of rest, the kind where you disappear into blackness and nothing exists for a while. One natural method to support this deep sleep phase? Body temperature regulation. Cool your room. A temperature between 60–19 degrees Celsius, about 60–67 degrees Fahrenheit, has been shown to significantly improve the depth and quality of sleep. Why? Because your body's core temperature naturally drops as you fall asleep. A cooler room helps speed up this process, signaling your brain that it's time for deep sleep and, by extension, time for cleaning. Still, not everyone agrees. Some researchers say that temperature only plays a minor role compared to mental state and circadian timing. Others insist it's one of the easiest, most underused tools we have. Either way, sleeping in a cooler room won't hurt and might make a huge difference. And now for a strange, under-the-radar fact. Astronauts in space suffer disturbed glymphatic flow. In microgravity, cerebrospinal fluid doesn't circulate properly, and researchers have observed signs of increased brain pressure and slower cognitive function in astronauts after long missions. Yes, 7 in space, the brain begs for its rinse. But you're not in space. You're here, lying in a bed, the weight of the day pulling at your limbs, your thoughts fluttering like moths against a screen. And if you're not sleeping deeply, your mind is staying dirty, quietly polluted by the day you thought you'd left behind. This isn't just about memory or mood, it's about neurodegeneration, about your long-term brain health. And every night you sleep well, you're giving your brain the tools to resist decline, to fight disease, to stay sharper, longer. So how can you know if your brain's rinse cycle is working? Look for clues. Do you wake up feeling foggy or refreshed? Do your dreams feel vivid or fragmented? Do you notice that your thinking clears by noon or not at all? These aren't just feelings. They're signals, messages from deep within the machinery of your mind. Now picture it. Millions of glial cells, pulsing slightly in the dark, carrying out the most beautiful cleanup operation you'll never remember. The tide of sleep rises, the trash flows out, and your brain is renewed. But skip it, and that trash lingers. Think of trying to work in a cluttered room. Sticky notes everywhere, old coffee cups, a half-finished sentence on the wall. That's your mind after too many restless nights. And yet, this is the part I love most. Your brain wants to heal. Desperately. The moment you give it what it needs, it responds. Sleep for just a few nights in a row deep, uninterrupted sleep, and you may notice your thoughts becoming clearer, your emotions more stable, your focus less fragile. There's something sacred about letting your brain clean itself. It's not just maintenance, it's a ritual of return, a homecoming to clarity. So tonight, help it along. Cool the room, turn off unnecessary lights, put away the phone, even if just for 30 minutes before bed. Drink some warm water, breathe slower. Tell your brain, the day is over now, it's time to rinse. And in that quiet, as the rinse begins, you just might feel a version of yourself you'd forgotten slowly rising to the surface again. Your brain is ready to rest, but something inside you is still wired, still alert, like a sentry guarding a gate that no one's asked it to watch. Even in the silence of your room, you feel it. A slight tension in your chest, a flicker of unease behind your eyes, the way your thoughts refuse to quiet down. This isn't a failure of willpower, it's a war of chemicals, and your hormones are the ones lobbing grenades. Welcome to the hormone conspiracy, the reason you're lying awake at 2:14 a.m. for no reason at all. Your body wants to sleep, but your melatonin, the so-called sleep hormone, is being hijacked, sabotaged by stress, screens, and poor habits. Worse, another hormone, cortisol, the master of fight or flight, is showing up uninvited. It's like your bedtime orchestra is trying to play a lullaby, and someone keeps banging a cymbal every 5 minutes. Here's the breakdown. Normally, melatonin rises when the sun sets. Darkness tells your pineal gland, hey, let's wind this down. But artificial light, especially the blue glare from phones and laptops, confuses your brain into thinking it's still daytime. So melatonin stays low. Cortisol? It stays high. And cortisol does not want you to sleep. It wants you to run. But it gets stranger. There's a third player in this hormonal triangle, orexin. You probably haven't heard of it, but this neuropeptide is what keeps you awake and alert during the day. It's supposed to calm down at night. But in people with chronic stress, poor diet, or erratic sleep schedules, orexin doesn't get the memo. It stays active, keeps you wired. Like a boss who never leaves the office. Here's a little-known detail. People with narcolepsy lack orexin almost entirely. They fall asleep uncontrollably. On the flip side, people with insomnia often have too much orexin firing at night. Their brains are literally over-alert, like a car engine left idling at red line. So how do you take back control? One natural solution: ashwagandha. This ancient adaptogenic herb has been shown to regulate cortisol, lower nighttime alertness, and gently support melatonin rhythms. Some people say it's like handing your brain a warm blanket. Others say it just helps them stop overthinking long enough to breathe. Of course, researchers are still debating ashwagandha's mechanisms. Some argue its effects are placebo-driven. Others point to mounting evidence of its influence on the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The truth? It likely works for some people and not for others. But it's gentle, non-addictive, and worth considering. Here's another trick. Eat earlier. Late night eating, especially heavy or sugary foods, triggers insulin spikes, which interfere with melatonin release. Even a small late snack can keep your body in digest mode instead of sleep mode. And now, the weird fact. In clinical trials, people who simply changed their dinner time eating before 7 p.m. reported better sleep without changing anything else. No new supplements. No therapy, just earlier meals. It's as if your stomach and your brain were texting each other the whole time. Hey, we're still processing down here. You sure it's sleep time? But even with perfect habits, some nights, your hormones just riot. That's when you breathe. Literally. Try this tonight. The 4 to 7 -8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. This pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the one that tells your body, it's safe now. Do this 3 or 4 times, and you might feel your heart rate slow, your muscles let go. The sentry at the gate starts to doze off. There's a quiet battle happening every night between stress and rest, between cortisol and melatonin, between your survival instincts and your soul's need to recover. And you're stuck in the middle just trying to sleep. Some scientists argue that hormonal imbalance is a side effect of poor sleep, not the cause. Others believe it's the reverse, that stress hormones are the spark that ignites insomnia. The debate is ongoing. But one thing is clear: the more you support your body's natural rhythm, the more likely your brain will follow. Tonight, let that rhythm guide you. Turn off the overhead light. Light a candle, maybe. Let the shadows grow long. Give your hormones what they need to remember the old ways, the darker hours, the slower breath, the silence that once came easily. And if you can do that just for tonight, you might notice the change. You'll feel it in your bones before your mind even registers it. That delicious melting of the muscles, that yawn that feels like a small surrender, that soft pull into sleep, like water pulling you gently below the surface. Let go. The war inside you is ending for now. The clock reads 1:37 a.m. again. You've seen this hour before too many times, actually. Maybe you're scrolling your phone in the dark. Maybe you're just staring at the ceiling, making shapes from the shadows. You call yourself a night owl, say you've always worked better after midnight. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your late-night habits might be writing your brain's early obituary. Studies have shown that people who consistently go to bed after midnight, especially without regular schedules, face up to a 10% higher risk of early mortality. It sounds dramatic, but it's not the staying up late alone, it's what comes with it. Irregular sleep, poor quality rest, increased stress hormones, and disrupted circadian rhythms. Some researchers have even coined a term for it: social jet lag, when your body's internal clock is out of sync with the external world, and over time, that misalignment wears you down from the inside out. But not everyone agrees. Some argue that being a night owl is simply a genetic trait, not a death sentence, that as long as you sleep long enough, even if it's from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., your brain will be just fine. It's a heated debate. Still, most evidence leans toward this: irregularity is the real enemy. If your bedtime swings wildly 3 a.m. one night, 10 p.m. the next, back to 2 a.m., the night after, your internal systems never stabilize. Your melatonin release gets confused, your digestion struggles, your cortisol spikes unpredictably. It's like trying to play an instrument with no sense of rhythm. Eventually, the music just turns to noise. And your brain? It hates noise. But here's something you might not know. People who identify as night owls tend to have higher rates of anxiety, depression, and metabolic disorders. Not because staying up late is inherently bad, but because the lifestyle that comes with it tends to be out of sync with what the body actually needs. And that misalignment isn't just inconvenient, it's exhausting. Mentally, physically, neurologically. Want a strange fact? In a South Korean study, researchers found that self-reported night owls had more calcification in the brain's white matter-tiny hard patches that slow down electrical signals. Imagine trying to think clearly while walking through mud. But there's hope. You're not doomed just because your brain likes moonlight better than sunlight. You can gradually shift your sleep window 15 minutes earlier every few nights until you land in a rhythm that supports deep, restorative rest. You can also anchor your day with morning exposure to natural light, even if it feels unnatural at first. Your eyes aren't just seeing the world, they're communicating with your suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's internal timekeeper. And when that clock is synced, everything else works better: digestion, focus, mood, even libido. Another natural fix for night owl syndrome? Tart cherry juice. It sounds like an old wives' tale, but studies have shown that tart cherries naturally boost melatonin and help regulate sleep cycles. Drink a small glass an hour before bed, not a magic bullet, but a gentle nudge. Some researchers believe tart cherry juice only works because of the melatonin content. Others argue the benefits are from its antioxidant properties. Either way, it's simple, safe, and even kind of tasty. But here's where the story turns personal. You didn't choose to be a night owl. Maybe life chose it for you. Maybe the silence of night is the only time you've ever felt peace. Maybe you were told over and over that productivity lives in early mornings, and that's just never been your truth. And that's okay. But there's a difference between embracing your natural rhythm and letting it run wild. If you're a night owl, lean into routine, anchor your sleep and wake times, cut screen time earlier, dim your lights, create rituals that help you wind down gradually. Don't jerk your body into change, lead it. Because night owls can be healthy. They just have to work a little harder to protect their sleep. And you're worth that effort. So tonight, don't fight the clock, but don't ignore it either. Find a rhythm. Build a soft staircase from wakefulness to rest. No harsh alarms, no cold turkey promises. Just small, steady steps toward the silence your brain has been craving. You'll know you're getting closer when you wake up, and the world feels quieter, even at noon, when you don't need 5 alarms, when your thoughts stop racing and start gliding, when your memory feels like a light switch, again not a flickering bulb. And most of all, when you stop saying, "I'll sleep better tomorrow," because tomorrow starts tonight. You've tried it, a lavender spray, white noise apps, counting backward from 100. Still, your brain hums like a machine that won't shut down. The problem isn't just that you're tired, it's that your brain has forgotten how to rest. But what if I told you there's a way to retrain it? Not with pills, not with willpower, but with something far more surprising: sound pulses and flickering light. It's called neurostimulation, and while it sounds like science fiction, it's very real. Researchers have discovered that low-frequency pulses delivered through gentle audio or dim light flashes scan actually help synchronize your brainwaves into a restful state. In other words, it can nudge your brain back into remembering how to sleep. Your brain communicates in electrical rhythms, and when you're deeply asleep, your brain enters delta wave slow, rolling patterns that signal deep, healing rest. People with insomnia often get stuck in lighter, faster wave states. Their minds simply can't slow down. So, what if we gave your brain a rhythm to follow? That's the idea behind binaural beats, a form of auditory stimulation where you hear one frequency in one ear and a slightly different one in the other. Your brain responds by creating a third tone A beat that matches a desired brainwave frequency, like alpha for relaxation or delta for deep sleep. Now here's the twist. When played at the right volume and timing, these beats can entrain your brain, guiding it gently into slower, sleep-promoting rhythms. Skeptical? Fair. The science is still evolving. Some researchers claim the effect is marginal more placebo than physics. Others, however, have documented measurable changes in brainwave activity after exposure. And countless users swear by it. 5 to 10 minutes of binaural beats before bed, and their insomnia begins to melt. A similar approach uses flickering light at around 40 Hz the frequency linked to gamma waves, which are involved in memory and brain maintenance. In Alzheimer's research, these flickers have shown promise in stimulating microglial cells, which help clear toxic buildup in the brain. It's weird. It's also beautiful light and sound guiding the brain back to balance. But let's say tech's not your thing. Let's say you want something quieter, more ancient. That's where slow, rhythmic breathing comes back in. Remember the 4 to 7 -8 technique? It's part of a broader concept, cardiac coherence, where your breath and heartbeat sync in a way that soothes the nervous system. When practiced regularly, just 5 minutes a day, it can train your body to downshift more easily at night. One lesser-known detail: monks and seasoned meditators show enhanced slow-wave sleep compared to the general population. Not because they chant all day, but because their minds have been trained to follow rhythm, stillness, and breath. Which brings us to another strange but powerful tool, Yoga Nidra, form of guided meditation that brings you into a state between waking and sleep. In this place, the body remains still, but the mind enters deep rest. Some studies suggest that 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra can offer restorative benefits similar to hours of sleep. Still, researchers remain divided. Some say it complements, not replaces, true sleep. Others argue it taps into subconscious healing in ways we don't yet understand. But here's what's not in dispute. The brain is plastic. It can rewire itself, even if your sleep has been broken for years, even if you've forgotten what real rest feels like. Start small. Try 5 minutes of rhythmic sound. Try breathing with your hand on your chest. Try lying still, eyes closed, while imagining waves lapping slowly on a shore. Your brain doesn't need perfection. It just needs the invitation. Because every night, behind all the noise and exhaustion, your neurons are listening, waiting for a signal, waiting for rhythm, waiting to remember. And when that signal comes, whether through light, sound, breath, or stillness, it's like a switch flips. The noise fades, the thoughts slow, and for the first time in weeks, or maybe months, your mind begins to float. Not because you forced it, but because you led it. So tonight, give your brain that quiet pulse. Let it remember the tempo of rest. Trust the rhythm. Because the way back to sleep is not paved in effort, it's danced in silence. Silence. You don't realize how loud your world is until it's gone. No buzzing notifications, no clinking dishes from the kitchen, no distant traffic humming under your window, just the steady hush of nothing. And in that stillness, something opens. You've spent nights chasing sleep like it's a task, a puzzle, a problem to solve. You've tried tricks, tools, teas. But in the end, it's often not doing more that helps. It's doing less. Much, much less. Because the final secret, the one hidden in plain sight, is this: silence heals. It's not metaphorical. Your brain thrives in quiet. Literally. When external noise drops, the default mode network, the part of your brain involved in self-reflection and memory consolidation, activates more cleanly. Thought becomes organized. stress chemicals lower. Healing begins. In one study, just 2 hours of silence per day increased cell growth in the hippocampus, the region tied to memory and emotion. 2 hours, no music, no talking, just stillness. And what's even more surreal, silence may boost neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells. While some scientists debate how significant the effect is in adults, the findings are promising enough to make one wonder, what else can grow when you turn the world off? And yet, we rarely give ourselves that chance. We fill every pause with something: music, podcasts, scrolling, chatter, afraid, maybe, of the quiet, afraid of the thoughts that rise when the noise drops. But those thoughts? They're not your enemy, they're just messages left unopened, dreams you shelved, feelings you forgot you had. And in the dark, in the silence, they finally have space to speak. One gentle practice: a silence window. 30 minutes before bed, turn everything off. Lights dimmed. No talking, no screens. Let the room breathe. Let your mind cool. It might feel weird at first, like you're missing something. But what you're actually doing is making room for sleep, for peace, for clarity. It's not dramatic, it's not flashy, but it works. Still, not everyone agrees on silence. Some researchers argue light ambient noise like ocean sounds or pink noise scan improves sleep by masking sudden disruptions. Others claim total silence is best, that even background hums interfere with deep brain activity. There's no final verdict. Maybe it's personal. Maybe your brain knows best. So listen to it. Tonight, as you lie in the quiet, notice what happens. Your breath gets slower, your limbs get heavier, your thoughts, once shouting over each other, begin to whisper. You drift. You soften. And something within you, something ancient, releases. You're not falling asleep anymore. You're returning to it. Because rest isn't absence. It's presence, gently arriving in the space you made for it. And now, as your body stills and your mind begins to float, I want you to remember this. You've already begun healing, even just by listening. Even just by slowing down. Sleep isn't just about tonight, it's about the 1,000 nights to come. About the memory you'll preserve, the clarity you'll restore, the years you'll reclaim. You are not broken. You are simply tired. And now, finally, you're letting go. Now, let the hum of the fan lull you. Let the stillness wrap around you like a warm blanket. Let your brain drift gently into rhythm, into quiet, into safety. You're safe now. You're home. Sleep is waiting. And it's missed you. Word count, 1089. Conclusion, within section 9, 300 words. So here we are. The journey through your sleepless mind has brought us to stillness, a place of softness where even your thoughts feel like they're exhaling. Let's not rush the ending. Let's draw it out, like a final stretch under warm covers. Let the quiet seep deeper. Imagine your brain now, wrapped in shadows, the synapses gently dimmed like candlelight. Imagine your breath slow, deep, steady. Each inhale a whisper, each exhale a release. Out goes the worry. Out goes the pressure. Out goes the noise. There's no need to fix anything tonight. No urgency, no solving. Just being, just resting. Outside, the world continues. But inside you, a kind of still lake has formed. You might even see stars in it, if you look close enough. Sleep doesn't need to be forced. It's not a switch, it's a tide. And it's rising now, quietly, pulling you deeper into comfort. So soften your jaw, unclench your fingers. Feel the weight of your body sink fully into the mattress. Feel how safe you are, here, how safe you've always been. Let your brain do what it was built to do. Heal. Remember, restore. And as your mind floats further, as your breath grows quieter, remember this. You are not alone, not in your sleeplessness, and not in your healing. You're just on your way back to yourself. So here we are, the end of the road. Not a road across distance, but across your tired mind. Now, there's nothing left to solve, nothing left to chase. Only stillness, drifting in like morning fog across a quiet field. Don't rush it. Let the ending stretch like a long, gentle breath. Let the quiet soak in, like warm water around your bones. Picture your brain now a calm garden wrapped in soft shadows. Its folds resting, no longer sparking with noise, but glowing with silence. Like petals folding in under moonlight. Your breath moves slow and steady. Each inhale is an invitation. Each exhale, a release. Worries fade. Noise dissolves. Thoughts untangle, like thread slipping from your fingers. There's no need to try. No pressure to fall asleep. Sleep isn't something you force. It's something that arrives when you make space for it. Outside, the world spins on. But inside you, a still lake forms. And if you're quiet enough, you might see stars in it. Soften your jaw. Let your shoulders drop. Feel how heavy your body is, sinking deeper into the mattress. You are safe. Here, now, let your brain do what it's built for, to heal, to forget what no longer matters, to remember what does. And as your thoughts float further, as your breath grows quieter, as the edges of you begin to blur, remember this: you are not broken. You are simply tired. And now, finally, you are going home. End of script. Sweet dreams.